Little Zizi by Stephanie Poulin. Until this morning, everything was going along very well. Like all boys, Martin had a Zizi, and this Zizi didn't cause him any problems. Of course, from time to time, Martin worried a little. He wondered if one day his Zizi would look like his dad's. But that's normal. All boys wonder about that. So everything was going along quite well. However, on this particular morning, about 10 o'clock, Martin was at the swimming pool with the kids in his class. He was taking off his swimsuit when suddenly Adrian opened the door of Martin's dressing room. "Hey guys, look at this!" All the boys gathered round. Martin was completely naked, frozen in the back of his little stall. Adrian burst out laughing. "Look at the little Zizi!" A great roar of laughter echoed through the locker room. Suddenly, the teacher appeared. All the spectators scattered. "All right, Martin, hurry up and get dressed," he shouted in a mocking tone, as if he agreed with the others. Martin was sure of it. The teacher didn't like him. He was always saying that Martin was a real dimwit, especially when he missed the ball playing soccer. Martin didn't like soccer. Once he was dressed, Martin didn't dare go out of his dressing room, but he had to leave eventually, and as soon as he came out, Adrian crowed, "Little Zizi, little Zizi," but the others joined in with him. Martin held back his tears so he wouldn't be called a girl. He stammered back, "So what? Why should anyone care?" Adrian stood right in front of him. His eyes beamed spitefully. "With such a little Zizi, you can't make babies." That night, Martin had a lot of trouble getting to sleep. He kept lighting his flashlight under the covers to look at his Zizi. He thought that it looked even smaller than before, even downright rinky-dink. He thought again about what Adrian had said. Martin could care less about babies. To him, babies were like soccer, and he didn't like soccer. But actually, there was a snag, and that snag was called Aeneas. Martin liked Aeneas. As a matter of fact, all the boys in the class liked Aeneas. To rid herself of all these boyfriends who were as irritating as flies in full summer, Aeneas always said she didn't like anyone. But Martin always thought that one day she might change her mind, except that now it all seemed hopeless for him. Finished. Why? Because after the swimming pool incident, out of the blue, Martin had asked Aeneas, "When you grow up, will you want to have babies?" "Yes," exclaimed Aeneas. 10. 10 babies, 10. But how could Martin possibly make them with such a little Zizi? But the story doesn't end here. The next day, Adrian gathered all the boys in the class to the park. He announced, "Since Aeneas doesn't want to choose a boyfriend, we'll do it for her." Everyone agreed, except Martin. "How do you think we can decide that?" "We'll have a contest," answered Adrian. "The winner will be the one who can pee the furthest." This was Adrian's favorite game. He was always talking about such things. "It's useless, completely idiotic," cried out Martin. "Obviously," replied Adrian, "with your little Zizi, you can't pee very far at all." Everyone burst out laughing. The hecklers started again. "Little Zizi, little Zizi." Martin ran away. Nevertheless, Martin couldn't let one of the others become Aeneas's boyfriend. He would have been too sad. So every evening in the back of his garden, Martin practiced his peeing. And each evening he peed a little further. It worked. Martin was becoming a real champion, even if his parents were wondering if he wasn't a little bit wacky. The next Wednesday, when all the boys met in the park, Martin had drunk a whole bottle of water. He was finally ready. For the love of Aeneas, he was going to win. For now Adrian was in the lead. Your turn, Martin. Martin stood behind the line that was drawn in the dark. He concentrated and concentrated. But nothing happened. It was a catastrophe. I'm the winner, declared Adrian. I'm Aeneas's boyfriend. Fate had so decided, at least that was what the boys thought. The next day, during recess, Adrian was strutting around in front of Aeneas. He had slicked his hair down with his older brother's gel, and he was wearing his father's aftershave. There you are, he declared to Aeneas. We've decided your boyfriend is me. Aeneas pinched her nose. She answered, My boyfriend will be the boy that I choose. At any rate, it's not you. You smell like an old hen. Adrian's mouth opened and then closed, a little bit like the mouth in a goldfish bowl. He'd looked really stupid. Aeneas went back to playing. She passed right by Martin, who didn't dare look at her, although she did notice his swollen eyes. He cried all night. Then Aeneas made a detour over to the classroom. She scribbled something on a sheet of paper, and then she went over and put it on Martin's desk before going back to play with her girlfriends. After recess, Martin found the message. It was a heart, a big red heart signed Aeneas. That evening, Aeneas and Martin gave each other a kiss. When Adrian saw them, he began to make fish faces again. He looked really stupid. Aeneas and Martin will surely love each other for a long time. And when they've grown up, they will have lots of children, at least 10, because love isn't a question of a Zizi, large or small. The end.